Carolina Panthers linked to Justin Simmons. Another Ejiro Evero guy. Another guy the Panthers defensive coordinator used to coach in a past life. He can't run away from any of the guys he used to coach because the Carolina Panthers will just intake them. It's like a toxic girlfriend. She just dates the same people over and over again. Over and over again. She's calling you at 2 a.m. They'll get a text from old Sozy Lou. That's Ejiro Evero hitting up his former players. Not saying he's the one doing it, but according to Joe Purse, theathletic.com, the Panthers have been in touch with Simmons' representation about potentially joining the team. No signing is imminent at this time. They've met with a couple guys at this point. They took a flyer on Jair Alexander. Julian Blackmon, the safety from Indianapolis, who's a free agent, met with the team a couple months ago. So just another guy they're taking a waiver on. If you ask me, I think they're going to ultimately sign one of these guys. I think they have to. The Panthers have to sign a defensive back. They don't have a choice. Panthers.com literally saying that Trevon Moehrig is going to be in the nickel. Who are the safeties if Trevon Moehrig is in the nickel? Damani Richardson, Lathan Ransom? If you have to put 5 defensive backs on the field, you're putting out guys that you're not comfortable with at all. I think Damani Richardson or Lathan Ransom on the field, that works. Maybe one of those guys turns into a starting caliber safety. Not both at the same time. Like, are you crazy? They're playing the power ball in the defensive backfield. The Panthers are playing the power ball in the defensive backfield. They need a bona fide starter. They need a guy to come in and instantly contribute to the defensive backfield. Julian Blackmon's my pick. I think he is within the vision. Panthers talking about this being a 2026, 2027 thing. They want to play for the future. Give us a competitive product in 2025. By all means, that's what they want to do. You can do it. Julian Blackmon allows you to do that. He's just 26, coming off a very productive season in Indy. Jair Alexander, another name. The personality might not be a fit, but he's just 28. You're going to get him probably on a 1-year deal. If he wants to come home to Charlotte, why not bring him home? Simmons is 31. That's just a Band-Aid. Just a Band-Aid to sign Justin Simmons. He did have 62 tackles and 2 interceptions last year, and he's a ball hawk who could probably help you get more than 17 turnovers, the number of turnovers the Panthers had in 2024. Evero needs someone, and the guy that played for Evero in 2022 seems like a good option. He led the league with 6 picks that year. So maybe the nepotism just continues on and on and on. For as long as the Panthers are a franchise, they're going to find ways to bring guys that Evero used to coach into the locker room. For whatever reason. It's like 15 guys. It's actually insane to think about. I want Blackmon. He's the pick who can get picks. Jair Alexander, even better. Imagine him side by side with Jaycee Horn. Ooh, like you read about. Press is hot. Horn and Alexander in the defensive backfield, that would be a great addition to this team. But how about the offense? It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when Jimmy Horn makes the Carolina Panthers roster. Dave Canales is casting a movie. He's looking for a 5'8", 170-pound wide receiver. And Jimmy Horn is the perfect fit. Unequivocally, the Panthers rookie is going to make the roster. There's no one else who can fit the role of the 5'8", slot receiver, perfect for the speed option routes. Motion him across the line of scrimmage, get him open the flat. Similar to what they did with Devin Tompkins last year. You can line him up, move him around. He's fast, he's quick. He can return kicks and punts. That's why Jimmy Horn makes the Carolina Panthers roster. The jet sweeps even, and they did it a little bit last year with Devin Tompkins. Came over from Tampa, receiver that Canales coached in 2023. I see Jaycee Horn filling the role of Devin Tompkins, a guy that they gave the roster spot to late last season. Jaycee Horn, plug and play. Off the shelf, you put him in. That's why it's not really a competition. It's not. Maybe it's Renfro versus Moore. Jaycee Horn's making the roster. Electric on punt returns, electric on kick returns. Can do things that all other guys cannot do in that room. You have other slot receivers. Renfro is an impressive slot wide receiver, but he fell off even before he battled an autoimmune condition that caused him to lose 35 pounds last year. He fell off in Vegas. But better yet, Jaycee Horn can just do things that Canales has done. The offensive scheme's not changing. Horn is plug and play. You put him out there, jet sweep. Bryce Young hands him the ball. The speed option routes. Motion him across the line of scrimmage. Boom, quick. Little out. You got him going there. It will be immediate impact for Jaycee Horn Jr. And he's not the only rookie who's going to make a splash. It's not a competition for wide receiver one. And I know Leggett seemed to think it is a competition a couple weeks ago when he spoke to the media. Some people might think that there is a battle for wide receiver one. There's no battle. There's no battle. TMAC is in a league of his own. 2 1,300-yard receiving seasons consecutively at the college level. There's no more pro-ready wide receiver in this draft and even past drafts than T-Mac. He's Canales' guy. Bryce Young got him the job. He's the coach's son, at the very least. They're already singing his praises. Bryce Young throwing with him before the draft. Where was Leggett in Southern California in April? Was Leggett out in Southern California throwing with Bryce Young? I don't hear any reports of that. T-Mac undoubtedly the wide receiver one, and reasonably, we can say that it makes sense. I'm not saying Leggett's going to have a bad season. I'm not saying he's not going to fit in. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is T-Mac has a more diverse skill set. He thrives no matter what you ask him to do. Short, intermediate routes, he can do it. Jump balls, high pointing the ball, down the sideline, deep routes, he can do it. They're even talking about lining him up in the slot and letting him bully guys inside on slants. There's no one on this team who has a more diverse set of pass-catching skills than T-Mac. He's a proverbial Liam Neeson on the phone in the movie Taken. He's got a particular set of skills. He's got a lot of skills. He's not afraid to use them, and he's going to kill the competition in the NFC South this season in 2025. The theme of the 2025 draft is you have these ready-to-go starters. And we're going to talk about the secondary because this is a concern on defense. Canales on the rookies. They're doing things that 6, 7, 8-year veterans do before and after practice, paying attention to details, learning the playbook, learning the system, picking it all up. These guys are plug and play, folks. Plug and play. You walk in, it's like takeout. It's already done. You put it on the field, it works. It's not the Panthers of the past. They're not bringing in these projects, these guys that have physical talent but never really made it work at the college level. They're bringing in bona fide NFL talent, not guys that you're taking a risk on, guys that performed at a high level in college, whether it be Lathan Ransom, T-Mac, or the pass rushers. They're bringing in guys who are set to have immediate giga impacts. Immediate giga impacts. That is what the Panthers are expecting from this 2025 draft class. You're talking about multiple starters on both sides of the ball. They're literally talking about Trevon Moehrig in the nickel. So what's that mean? Lathan Ransom starting at safety in some sets. TMAC's your wide receiver one. I could totally see Nick Scorton or Princely Umanmielen, especially Scorton, beating out Patrick Jones and DJ Wonnum. Wonnum's already hurt. Patrick Jones was named the starter, I believe, a month or so ago, but how long is that going to last? Immediate giga impact rookies. That is who these guys are. Whether or not it works, we'll have to see. I have a lot of faith in TMAC. I think undoubtedly he is the best wide receiver on this team. It's not even close. That's not an indictment against Xavier Legette, who I think has a chance to shine on crossing routes, and they can use him in an even more diverse and unique way. Instead of trying to just make Legette, form him into a wide receiver one who can do everything that a wide receiver one should be able to do. Instead, you're allowing him to thrive, to play within his skill set. And that's bullying guys in the middle of the field, short routes, let him use his speed, let him use his strength. Derrick Henry at wide receiver type player. Hunter Renfrow. I want it to work. There's no Rudy story I want to work more than Hunter Renfrow making the Carolina Panthers roster. An underdog, a guy that battled. He lost 35 pounds, folks. He lost 35 pounds last year due to ulcerative colitis, which a lot of people struggle with. But his journey is particularly remarkable. I want Hunter Renfrow to go and have a 2021 Hunter Renfrow season. I want it to work. I don't think it works. I think Renfro is in Carolina more as an industry plant. I think Canales has a track record of bringing in guys like this, who they hype up, they sensationalize. Everyone's talking about him. The media does a million stories on a player like Hunter Renfrow. They did it last year with Jordan Matthews. He's an industry plant, a guy that's a nice story. It sounds great on paper. But do you really think that Dave Canales is going to part ways with David Moore? That's like a marriage of 60 years ending in bloody divorce. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Hunter Renfrow doesn't make the team. Jimmy Horn does. David Moore unequivocally does. And without a doubt, Hunter Renfrow either is going to be on the practice squad or he's going to be cast away to another team. There's a lot of depth across the NFL. A lot of teams have wide receivers 4, 5, and 6. It's the top of the depth chart that's a little less abundant. There's less teams with 2 really good starting wide receivers. Most teams can just find guys off the street who can play. Look at what the Chiefs did last year. Bringing in DeAndre Hopkins. You can always just find a guy, it seems. So we'll see how training camp goes. Does Hunter Renfrow prove that he is a guy that should be on an NFL roster? Personally, I think he's either on the Panthers practice squad. Maybe he gets boosted up to the active roster a couple weeks here and there. But I think if things really turn out for him, he's going to go somewhere else where he is on the roster. I think the Panthers have a saturation. The Panthers have a saturation of talent at the bottom of the depth chart at wide receiver. They have Jalen Coker. They have Jimmy Horn. They have David Moore. They have a bunch of guys who are going to be competing with each other on the lower end of the depth chart. I don't think the upper end of the depth chart is a competition at all. I think Tetairoa McMillan in a runaway is your wide receiver 1. But I don't think Hunter Renfrow has a shot at beating Jimmy Horn, who has just more skills. He's faster. He can return the kicks. I know Renfro plays a little bit of special teams, but Horn's got more upside. He can do those jet sweeps. He's fast. Fastest player Mike Kay has seen on the practice field in 3 years. And there's no way, I don't care how pessimistic you are, that Canales parts ways with David Moore, who had impressive numbers last year. David Moore, 32 catches, 351 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I know there's a lot of people who are anti-Moore. I have no problem with getting more of Moore in 2025. I have zero problem with it. He showed up. He showed up against Kansas City, had 6 catches, 81 yards. David Moore showed up. He deserved another chance at making an NFL roster. Whether it's in Carolina, where I think it's going to be, or somewhere else. He was plug and play. He was getting open. He was hanging on to the ball. You can't say that about Xavier Legette. David Moore underratedly impressed last season, and people who are anti-David Moore are on the wrong side of history. I reserve the right to hold out on forming an opinion on the 2024 draft class. I reserve the right to do that, but it is a lot different than past draft classes for the Carolina Panthers. In the past, you've had no trouble getting guys in the first round. You look at the past few years, like Kamakwanu, Jaycee Horn, Derek Brown, Christian McCaffrey. You go down the list, and they've been able to find talent. They're not drafting busts at the top of the draft. The Carolina Panthers aren't failing as an organization over the past few seasons because they're not drafting talent in the first round. It has nothing to do with that. It's been a lack of roster management. You've signed free agents like Miles Sanders and Von Bell, who are just in the door and out the door just as fast. Either that or they get lost. You don't even realize they're in the house. They don't perform up to expectations at all. They also have a pathological issue with drafting late in the draft, trying to find guys in these middle to late rounds that stick around and perform well. Think of all the guards that they cycled through on the offensive line, trying to piece that together over the past couple seasons. Thank gosh Dan Morgan signed Robert Hunt last year. It was a complete game changer, as pivotal of a move the Panthers have made as any other. The 2024 draft class is a little bit different. I think there's questions about what the Panthers did at the top of the draft, especially Jonathan Brooks, who shined for 5 minutes. Jonathan Brooks put a better 5 minutes of tape than any other rookie last season. That guy for 5 minutes was as good as Malik Neighbors in New York. But unfortunately, some lingering injuries. There's reasons other teams across the league passed on Jonathan Brooks. The Panthers took a risk. He seems like he's talented, but the knee. And unfortunately for him, he will be out the entire 2025 season. Xavier Legette, equally, questions about him. Is he another Jonathan Mingo or Terrace Marshall, or can he actually play? Can he find a role, carve it out this season, and thrive in the Canales offense? Who knows? Who knows? Where there's less questions are with these dark horses, these guys that have emerged out of nowhere. Chau Smith-Wade. I know he was hyped up a little bit in 2024 in the offseason, but now you're talking about runaway starting nickelback Chau Smith-Wade. He is the starting corner when they have 5 defensive backs on the field in 2025. Javian Sanders, another guy who was just sort of thrusted into the lineup. You had high hopes for him. In 2024, no one thought Javian Sanders would be tight end 1 week 1. People didn't think that would happen. And as Javian Sanders says himself, his nuts had to drop early. He had to mature really fast and get out there and perform well. And I think Javian Sanders is the big cheese. I think this is a guy. When we look at history, 10 years from now, we're going to remember Javian Sanders from the 2024 draft class. I don't think it's going to be Leggett. I don't even think it's going to be Jonathan Brooks or Trevin Wallace or anyone else. I think Javian Sanders has a chance to stand out more than any other rookie from last season. He is the big cheese, and he's sort of like a Pokemon. You know, you catch the Pokemon, and it's like level 1. It's all weak, doesn't have a lot of moves. And it's like a little baby. But then it just like keeps growing and evolving, and next thing you know, it's like this big monster. Javian Sanders looks ripped. He looks jacked. When he did an interview with Gabe McDonald, looks absolutely ripped. And he's one of those guys that's immensely talented at the college level. I watched a video this morning of Sanders palming a football when they threw a jump ball to him in high school. He just made these defensive backs look like little kids. They're jumping all over him, trying to get him. It's borderline pass interference, and he just sticks his hand up and just palms the ball. He looks like freaking Morpheus out there. And I think he's one of these guys that has all the talent in the world. Half of it is untapped. And I would not be surprised if Javian Sanders, this season and into the future, is a pivotal weapon in the Dave Canales offense. And he does look the part, man. I believe it was 10 pounds. There was reported that Javian Sanders has lost this offseason. He looks ripped. He looks lean. He had a little bit of a gut last year. And he ascribes that to eating Dominoes late at night. Sanders tells Joe Person, now if I'm hungry at 11 o'clock at night, I open up one of the meal prep containers. So he's on a bodybuilding regimen or something, and he looks like it. And again, a younger player probably hasn't had to try all that hard at the college and high school level. He's just been so dominant. He can just show up and do great. Well, now he's maturing. He's reaching adulthood. In his words, here's what he told Gabe McDonald.
Sure, I mean, definitely I got thrown into the fire last year. You know, Tommy and Ian had got hurt last year during camp. Me being a rookie, I definitely had to, you can say I had to drop my, you know what I'm saying?
So he had to drop his nuts, and he did. The Panthers threw him in the fire, tight end 1. What the heck's going on? Due to injuries. And as Javian Sanders tells you right there, his nuts had to drop. And I think they're dropping even further. If that's how puberty works, he's maturing even more. And he's ready to take that next step, be the runaway tight end 1. I think he already is. Even if Tremble comes back. I think Tremble's a role piece at this point. I hope he's okay with the back. But I think Tremble's a role piece. It's Javian Sanders' job to lose. He's running away with it. Canales going through the offense. So yeah, we got wide receivers, we got running backs, and JT. That's what he said a month ago or so. Specifically calling out JT and his talent on the Panthers offense. It's Javian Sanders' job to lose. He is the big cheese. Jaycee Horn talking about another guy from the 2024 draft class. Chau Smith-Wade, the Washington State corner, who was selected in the 5th round at 157th in 2024. Jaycee Horn said of the second-year nickelback, man, I think he's been the most impressive player. And he said that without hesitation, writes Cassidy Hill of Panthers.com. There's no player that needs to perform better in 2025 than Chau Smith-Wade. I think he's a guy that, if you're talking about him taking a step forward, being that Peanut Tillman, that excellent corner who can stay with guys and complement Jaycee Horn if he's healthy. You need that because you don't really have a ton of faith in Mike Jackson. Who knows what he does? I think he is another guy that could be displaced if the Panthers make a move to sign any cornerback. Chau Smith-Wade is the guy that needs to step up. And I didn't even realize this. I missed this, and I apologize to you for that. So when the Panthers signed Trevon Moehrig, writes Cassidy Hill, some thought he would take over the role of nickel. So you sign Moehrig to a 3-year, $51 million contract. I know you kept Jaycee Horn, but Moehrig's probably your most impressive signing in free agency. Well, starstruck one. And you're going to put him in nickel? Like, really? You're going to put Trevon Moehrig in the nickel? So who's playing safety? Domani Richardson and Lathan Ransom? A 4th-round rookie and an undrafted free agent who started a little bit in 2024? That scares me. I think of those 3 guys, I want to see Chau Smith-Wade on the field more. I think he's more of the proven commodity. He's the guy that you have faith in. More so than Lathan Ransom and Domani Richardson. So if Chau Smith-Wade can step up to the plate, that allows Moehrig to line up in the box, be a true strong safety, be a free safety even. He's good in coverage. He can do it all. And then you fill in the gaps with Domani Richardson and Lathan Ransom and see which one of those guys step up. Or I think the more ideal outcome is you sign Julian Blackmon, who's still out there. That's the guy that I want, Julian Blackmon, free safety from Indianapolis. Chau Smith-Wade quickly becoming the most impressive player in the Panthers offseason. Jaycee Horn thinks so. Well, that's it for this segment. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is The Tone. We have so much more coming for you, folks. I'm going to take a step back. I've been pumping out these videos. I'm going to take a step back and really begin to work on making the best possible production for you. This is all for you, and this is The Tone.